Hello everyone, John Fawcett here, meteorologist in charge for the National Weather Service office that serves southern New Mexico and far west Texas. That's exactly the area that will be affected by a two-part flash flood scenario the next 36 hours. The time of this briefing, Tuesday afternoon, September 6th. Potential impacts, well, on top, we're focusing on flash flooding, bottom line. And that would be Rio Grande Valley eastward tonight into early tomorrow, and then part two, connected with the remnants of Hurricane Newton, the far west area, the New Mexico boot heel, northward up into the Gila region tomorrow afternoon and evening, maybe into early Thursday. Recall that there's already been flash flood damage in the past week or two, and also earlier in August. Those areas will be especially vulnerable by additional heavy rainfall. Rush hour, not just from flooding of low-lying spots, but road spray rendering you blind when you get that gunk on your windshield. And then rises on the Rio Grande and even the Gila River if enough rain falls. We've already had a rise on the Rio Grande, by the way, a flood wave a week or so ago. Hurricane Newton will be responsible for the part two of this scenario. And so we'll look at the projected track of Newton. It won't be a hurricane when it reaches the international border, barely a tropical depression by that point, but it's going to have plenty of dynamics to produce heavy rainfall, focusing on southeast Arizona and then into western New Mexico by late Wednesday. And here's what the computer model thinks, starting in the upper left. It's already crossing the Baja Peninsula, and by midnight tonight crossing the Gulf of California, moving to the Arizona-Sonora border noon tomorrow, and then late tomorrow night as just a leftover upper disturbance western New Mexico. The excessive rainfall outlook, not just rainfall outlook, excessive rainfall outlook by the Weather Prediction Center looks like this. Starting right now and tonight, it's area-wide, but focusing more towards the east. And then part two, focusing further west with the remnants of Newton. And the forecast precipitation amounts by the Weather Prediction Center, these are averages. Okay, when you have an average like that, you could easily pick out isolated spots that are going to be much higher amounts, but we don't know exactly where. The eastern portion is part one tonight, that area covering far west Texas, southeastern New Mexico. And then part two with the remnants of Newton, Arizona gets nailed, and bordering that will be far western portions of our area. And this is what it looks like with our graphic here and rainfall amounts we're expecting. The Sacramento Mountains could really get hammered tonight, and that's a concern for anybody still up there camping, left over from the Labor Day weekend. And even El Paso, 1.5 inches of rain, if it falls quickly enough, there's going to be some flash flooding in spots of town, especially the areas that don't drain well and those infamous roadways that you know about. And then further west with Newton's remnants, more tomorrow evening, that's a lot of rain, 2 or more inches from the Boot Heel up through Silver City and the Black Range. In between the two, doesn't look like that much. Don't be fooled. You can still end up with flash flooding. Too much cloud cover, as we've seen earlier this summer, could restrict instability, and then you don't get the very heavy rainfall rates despite having so much moisture in the atmosphere. But don't count on it. We have an upper disturbance in play, and that could release the very heavy rainfall. The remnants of Newton, if it shifts a little further to the east, that's more trouble for us from part two. So we don't want that to happen, but we need to be aware that it could. Flash flood watches, the first one is already in effect through the overnight hours, Rio Grande Valley eastward. And the second one will come into effect late tonight through tomorrow, and that is including areas Deming to Truth or Consequences westward. Heavy rain, possible flash flooding. We're just repeating the message. East half tonight, west half tomorrow, especially far west. And then be careful if areas already receiving a lot of rain get additional heavy rainfall. They're vulnerable to additional flash flooding. And rush hour this evening, probably not tomorrow morning, but if the rain extends itself, yeah, it could be another rush hour. And then the Rio Grande and Gila River could have a flood wave along those if we get enough rainfall. Thanks for watching this. Thanks for your time. We know your time is precious. Please follow us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, our webpage. And once again, turn around, don't drown.